Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Top Lessons podcast. I am your host, Kathy Inglot, and with me today, we have not just a gorgeous influencer, founder, and a kick-ass entrepreneur woman. She is also here to represent her beauty brand, Samreen's Vanity. With me, welcome, everyone, Samreen Arshad. Thank you for joining the show, Samreen.
Hi, Kathy. It's so nice to be here. Pleasure is mine. Thank you.
We are going to go through not just who you are, but what your brand is. And I brought some of my favorite products with me today, and we'll discuss them in more
Yay.
detail. But I just wanted to give you the credit where the credit is due. You are a accredited makeup artist, an influencer, a founder, a beauty brand that's reshaping the global narrative of what is South Asian heritage and the psychology of beauty rituals. You are also a University of Michigan grad, which I know there's hundreds of thousands of them, a background in automotive industry, which is slightly different from the makeup beauty brand, but you bring together this analytical thinking that allows, obviously, this creative vision of work. You were featured in many magazines, I'll just name a few, Harper's Bazaar, The Today Show, and Glamour. And obviously your journey is very different from those that we've seen on many Sephora brands, but it's one that inspires a movement of beauty, of resilience, cultural pride, and entrepreneurial grit. So, to start the show off, I wanted to make sure everyone understands I do not, and I have never promoted a brand, especially a beauty brand, where I bring products to the show. And this is the first. Only because for some of you, I'm wearing one of the products that I love, and Samreen sent me a new refill because I literally used it until it was dead. It's called, the best name out there, Nudie Patootie. For all of you out there, I have been wearing this for the whole day, and it's still on, which is why I love your products. But to take a step back and kind of talk about you and the brand. I know there's so many lessons that a woman in the beauty industry has, and we don't have, we could spend a week talking with you, but we're going to narrow it down to a few lessons that I think are very powerful with what you've shared with me. And the first one is, obviously your background is not beauty. You didn't go to school for beauty. You did, I'm sure, consider it as a accredited makeup artist, but why the beauty brand? What inspired you to go into beauty?
Firstly, Kathy, thank you so much for that incredible introduction. Sometimes you just forget your journey and you just forget all you've done. So thank you so much. I'm very grateful for that. So beauty is not something I chose by choice. Beauty happened to me. When I had my son in 2014, I was taking a break from automotive. I got married. I took like a year off just to figure out what do I want to do. That's around the time I got pregnant and had my son. So right after that, I slipped into really deep postpartum depression. And now this I'm talking about like 2014. I feel that even back then, Instagram wasn't big and we weren't as tuned in with what's happening and people weren't sharing their stories like that. I just had no idea what was wrong with me because being at the best time and the best phase of my life, I was at my darkest phase. And one of those nights, I was in and out of the hospital and I didn't have the will to live at that time. And I was scrolling through YouTube, like something that we do now on TikTok. I was just down that dark hole, and I started watching YouTube makeup tutorial. And I remember that it was just the act of transformation was just truly captivated me. And I was just so in awe of like what this woman did with how and the products and all of those things, something that was so alien to me. I was an automotive girl, so I wasn't really into beauty like that. I was just like getting by the day with whatever looked good on me. So I started watching videos. I remember the one night I watched videos nonstop for 6 hours back to back. And I just forgot the dark place I was in. And I always mention like that is where my journey with makeup started. I just love the art of transformation.
No, and I think that is, a powerful message to a lot of women, especially those that are maybe going through some of what you've went through, which is postpartum, right? And that phase of like, how do I look gorgeous in a time where I don't feel that gorgeous? But I think makeup is something that, regardless of maybe your background or your, status, is something that and this was recently covered on one of those Today shows, that like we may not be able to afford the most expensive handbag there is, but you could feel great if you buy yourself a new lipstick or a new eyeliner or a new shadow. It's like a
Absolutely.
gift for ourselves to make us feel a little bit more newer and or sexier, whatever thing that you want to experience, you can get with makeup. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
is, a powerful lesson, not only just at a point in time in your life, but also in comes Samreen's Vanity. So give us a story about like how that came as a beauty brand and where that journey has taken you.
So I'm an immigrant. I moved here for college when I went to University of Michigan, and the plan was to go back home. But then I got to automotive, and rest is history. So I'm self-taught through YouTube, so I didn't have any formal training at that time. But when I fell in love with makeup, I had a very limited aspiration, I would say, or just like a viewpoint where I can go with this. And the most I thought about was I can be a makeup artist. So I was like, I can be a makeup artist. This will be great, and I didn't know anything beyond that. I taught myself makeup. I enrolled in a school of fashion and arts in Toronto because I used to live close to the border, and I started taking classes there because I remember when I went there, I said to myself, all I want to learn is how to match foundation to anyone's skin tone, and that was it. Like that is that is I mean, I just think about it like that is what I thought I needed to learn,
Yeah.
and that's where the ceiling was. I used to drive in the morning. It was a 3 hour commute. So my son was 6 months old when I was trying to figure out what to do. And I used to leave in the morning and I used to be there. It was a 4 months course, etc. So I became a makeup artist. And then my problem in life is, which I think is a problem nowadays, because I'm like dealing with all kinds of like crazy anxiety and burnout and everything. My problem is if I take something up, it has to be perfect. So if I want to be a makeup artist, I want to be the best out there. And I worked so hard in 4 years at that time that I was contacted by Cardi B's team to do her makeup, but I was already booked out with a bride. So the reason I mention this is that sometimes people think, oh, she must be artistic, or she knew it, or she always grew up with makeup. No, I didn't grow up with makeup. And so that is when I thought maybe I'll be a makeup artist. While I was a makeup artist, I remember in 2016 or 2017, Instagram was taking off like
Yeah.
big, and all beauty creators, buyers, lovers were moving on to Instagram. And I was like, okay, great. Like maybe I'll be in this influencer thing that everyone is doing now and get free makeup so I can use it on my clients. I made an account and then I started making videos on Instagram. And the only goal I had was that I just want to get a PR package from a brand, and that means I made it. So I think in the 6 months or 7 months, I started getting PR packages. And then obviously it's just one of those things, your threshold just grows and grows and your aspirations just keep growing. And I have worked with all the big brands out there like Laura Mercier, Charlotte Tilbury, Urban Decay. And I started learning a lot about the industry, and I started seeing the white space that's out there, because there would be campaigns that we would pitch for, and Samreen, the South Asian woman, immigrant mom, never picked up for the campaigns, and I would see my work and other influencers' work, and I started seeing that gap in between, that I really don't think that brown women, were really seen as a focus group,
Yeah.
or they weren't seen as there's an audience out there. Now, mind you, we're 2.1 billion of us in the
Mm-hmm.
world, and we're a lot of us. And it was just weird because this, I'm talking about like 2018, 2019 is when I got deep into it, and I was like, there's no makeup brand out there till that date that actually represented or catered to someone who looked like me. So that's when I was intrigued, and then I was like, maybe I should get a job at Sephora. So I was like, I'll get a job at Sephora, I'll work my way up to the ladder and see what I do then. I was thinking of going the corporate side because I couldn't have even imagined that I would have my own cosmetic line, right?
Yeah.
With like some rain, just this mom dealing with postpartum depression. So I would go to a local Sephora. We just had one in town. We lived in a very small, non-diverse town. And I would just go there and show my portfolio and be like, oh, I just want a sales floor job. Because I was like, at least it'll give me this and I can work my way off. I think I applied for a year and a half. every opening they had, I would walk in randomly. Like, I don't give up easily. And I just kept at it. And I was never called in for an interview, not once. And I knew in my heart, I'm like, there's something off about this. And I hate to play the inclusivity and racism
Yeah.
card because, there's so much of it out there that, whatever. But I was just like, what is going on? And I remember one day I was standing in that same Sephora and I looked around and there was all these like beautiful pictures and advertisements and campaigns and everything. And I kid you not, I did not see a single brown woman on any of the campaigns that were posted there. There were African American women, there were white women, a couple of Asian women in there. Now things
Yeah.
have changed, evolved a lot in the past like 5, 6 years. So that is where my curiosity started. And I remember, you have to be really naive and, like very naive to think, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make my own cosmetic brand, and that was it. And I
And
went
that was where it
home and I
started.
Googled, yeah, and I just Googled how to make makeup in America.
I love it.
That was
I think,
it.
sometimes people think that there's this like amazing, you spent 10 years thinking of a plan and it's now coming into fruition. But I love hearing stories like yours where it was like, I see a gap, it's like a light bulb goes off and you go, I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I
Mhm.
know that I could help women like yourself. And also, let's just call it out. 2.1 billion is a lot of gap, right? So
Yeah.
if 2.1 billion people bought Nudie Patootie, we'd be okay.
Yeah,
um,
we would definitely be okay.
yeah, yeah. So we're going to make this happen for Samreen and her brand because I think we could do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just wanted to show everyone the packaging and there's a reason I put it here is because when you see the beauty of the packaging, you do think of the South Asian heritage. It's the pop of colors. It's that, uniqueness of the eye. It's literally like this brightness that, if you've seen, South Asian heritage movies of any like Bollywood or the like, it's like there's colors everywhere. It's like you can literally, it's like the opposite of New York colors. It's like we're black and they're like literally every
We
color in
love
the rainbow.
celebration.
Exactly.
We're a culture of celebration.
And I'm just going to mention the other names because every name on here is great. So this is Sugar High, again another lipstick, and I think the best part about your lipsticks is they come with a liner and the actual color. So and you do a
Yes.
great match where there's like more shade in the liner, so you have that pop.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
also I have here the
Eyeliner.
waterproof eyeliner, which I love. I didn't wear it on today, but I love because it actually does stay. And it's Hawke's Bay. So it's like these amazing products that are sitting there that are waiting to be, discovered by the billions. How do we make sure that people know about it, right? Because look, there are Instagrams and TikToks that you have and you're posting and you're spreading the word out. But I think there's also a little bit of a push to where, like one of my friends introduced me to your brand. She gave me, Nudie Patootie, and she goes, use this because I was always saying things come off my lips. And when I tried yours,
Oh.
it was like, nope, did not come off. Check, check. Beautiful color, beautiful texture, stays on. It gives you the moisturizing, and it's not something that like cracks into the crevices all day and the like. So it shows that you have a talent, albeit learned at a later stage in your life, but a beautiful talent that not only showcases the makeup but also your heritage. And I think it's one of those things where it's also bringing you along to the business side, right? You're learning the business side of a brand and what it takes and how difficult it is to run your own business and be the founder at the same time. And I think one of the things I wanted to say that I've said before in my previous podcast with founders like you is the constant goal of not just building a brand is showing the products, but it's also getting the money to fund these products, right? Because I
Hmm.
always say, and entrepreneurs say, you spend money like water. The moment you get it, it's spent on the products, it's spent on the shipments. Now we have to think about tariffs and the like. So it's like how many of those issues and concerns and lessons you're learning, I'm sure, are tenfold from the first day you started to now where you are now. Can you kind of like narrow down a few of the lessons that you have learned being a founder and what lessons, maybe that you still are learning along your journey, not only just as a, beauty brand, but also as a woman founder?
Oh wow, it's interesting because I just shared this exact same. This question was asked to me. I was speaking in Vegas 2 days ago, and they asked me this question, and I was like, "Man, there's so many things I have learned, even though I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and I've always known that business is risk, business is time, business is like the uncertainty is always part of it. It doesn't even cover like any of the things you actually go through as a founder. So a couple of things that I've learned, and I'm going to narrow them down because there's too many. One thing is that no matter what stage of business you are in, either you're starting off or you're in between or you've already made it, you constantly have to operate your business as like a startup. Startup means you have to be really, really like careful with money, how you spend it. You have to be able to do whatever the most you can do with before hiring like a team of people, because that is the first thing people think about. Like, I need to hire team of like marketing people, executives
Yeah.
and whatever. I think that was a hard lesson that I had to learn, was that when you're in business, you have to know each and every aspect of the business so well that if you can do it yourself, you better do it yourself unless there's absolute need to scale and hire people. So that was my first thing. You have to operate like a startup. Like there's no endless flow of money coming
Yeah.
in. And I'm glad I learned that very early. So we were good. The second thing I learned was that always go with your gut, because I can tell you all of my wrong decisions I have made was because I thought of someone in with a title or in a
Yeah.
position of authority, and I said, well, if they're saying this must be right and we should do it, even though in my gut I was like, man, this is expensive, this is wrong, seems, whatever it was I was thinking. But I went with advice or decisions of people with titles, and I want people to know that go with your gut, because nobody knows what is best for your business better than you. No matter
Yeah.
what your business is, it has to be beauty or something else. So that was a hard lesson to learn, because you are always judging yourself and questioning, how much can I know? Well, you really know it the best, because this is your baby. You birthed it, you're growing it, you know what's best for it. So I think these two lessons were really truly my biggest lessons of entrepreneurship so far, which I'm going to live by forever.
I love the first lesson, especially because I could tell you, I know of plenty of founders who run out of money because they think it's going to be a constant flow of money coming in. And that assumption of that, there's always going to be someone, writing a check to invest in me. And when there is no one and you've spent it all, you have a very hard decision. You need to close your doors because you cannot no longer afford to make your company thrive. And I think
Yeah.
that lesson that you mentioned is something that can't be learned easily. It has to come from, managing 101. And like you said, before you overhire or even consider hiring more, it's on you to say, do I need this person and at what level? Because people like yourself, I'm sure, get advice from everyone that is in business and thinks they're the smartest and the brightest. And it's like, what
Hmm.
if you hired this, marketing person? They could do this. And you're like, yes, but at what cost to me and my bottom line? And I think
Yeah.
you yourself know, A, what you can afford, and two, what, I always said, if there is a middleman to whatever it is that you need to do, and you are going to just pass the information to the middleman, get rid of the middleman. There's no need
Yeah.
for that tier. And it comes to
Yeah.
so many corporate, functions that I've worked in. It's like the layer upon layer to be like, they're not adding, they're not changing your message, they're just passing
Yeah.
it through. So I think
Yeah.
that those lessons are so vital to a successful company. And also, if you don't know what your books look like, or if you don't know what your choice of, brand or the picture on your covers is, it's like you're not going to be able to speak about it in that I believe I know what I'm doing light that someone else is that's actually working on the packaging or working on your
Hmm.
colors. It's like you
Hmm.
really have to own 100% of it. And if you're at the top where you're like, oh, I'm going to remove myself, that means you've made it that much that you can remove yourself and go on vacation and forget that the company's running, right? And I think
Right.
most people
Yeah.
who are even involved in companies are still touching point on many of the decisions that they're making. They're just not maybe in every single decision throughout the day. So I think that is an amazing two lessons. So what motivates you? What is that motivation that gets you out of bed every day and says, I'm doing this?
I am somebody who dreams big. I've always been that person. I've envisioned things in my head. Like I've envisioned my products in one of the biggest stores in the world. I've envisioned myself having a certain lifestyle once I exit. What am I going to do after? Like I there's so much I want to do. And honestly, that is just I'm thinking about what 10 years from now. So I'm not waking up every day for what's happening today. I'm
Yeah.
always constantly thinking that I can't rest until I achieve this goal. And that it's very different to each person,
Yeah.
right? And it's like for me, that's what gets me out of bed every day. I love to work. I love what I do. And my biggest thing is I just want to leave the beauty industry better than it was when I added on. Like I want to leave a legacy. And the legacy is not just that I made these products which were great. It goes beyond that. And I think today's environment is ideal for that. Everybody wants a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
And it's so important because we're really losing that. We're all going back to our basics, like our roots.
Yeah.
And we want to feel that we belong, we are celebrated, we are, we're seen, and that we are here to stay.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
as an immigrant in America, I know when I started off, my dream was to build the American dream.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than showcasing it to other people like me that you can have a better life. You can come here and you can build the American dream. Like an immigrant mom like myself decided I'm going to have a makeup line.
Yeah. No, and trust me, a hundredfold your story because I also am an immigrant. And it's, I
Hmm.
always say it's not off the boat, it's off the plane in my case. But
Yeah.
it's a story of, if you believe it and you want it so bad that you can taste it, you'll do everything and anything to get to that dream at the end of the rainbow. And I love
Absolutely.
what you said, you're thinking 10 years from now, because if you don't have that vision, who else will, right? It's like, who else will think of
Hmm.
that big picture? And you have to have a big picture. You can't just think of every day, what do I have to do today? Those are tasks. That's not a vision.
Hmm.
A vision is,
Yeah.
I want to see my makeup in the biggest stores in the world and making sure that, little girls from any part of the South Asian continent say, this makes me feel nicer and more beautiful and someone seeing me because, I look like the
Hmm.
packaging or something like that, or the colors
Right.
represent who I am, right? So it's
Hmm.
that kind of vision. And I love your tagline, the beauty of belonging. I think it's something that
Hmm.
like when I read, I was like, oh, that's like it hurt, like that touches the heart. You go, I could see
Yeah.
some little girl going, I belong here. I belong in this brand, and
Hmm.
it speaks to me. And I think the South Asian heritage and the culture of South Asian beauty is so diverse. If you lined up 10 women from any of parts of the South Asian belonging, heritage, you're going to have so many shades of color just on skin color and eye color and the like. So you when you see that in a brand, and we hope that the vision of your vision is represented even faster and not in 10 years, but let's call it out and manifest it that it's in five
Yeah.
years, if not shorter.
God willing.
Because I think it's something that, when you walk into a store and you would see this on the shelf, you'd be drawn to it because of the color. It's something that,
Yeah.
like, we're used to the shades of, pink and red, but we're not used to this color
Hmm.
of pink and the brightness and the duality of both of these ends. I think just
Hmm.
makes it just stand out. And I look forward to one day someone saying, "Oh, I found you on the podcast, and that's why I bought this line and for
Wow.
2.1 billion of you." And those that are not even from the South Asian heritage, the billions of people from every single part of this world, I'm like, you have to go and try this. And the goal is to shut down her website so that many orders are produced, but also make sure that we get you more interested, capital so that you can
Mm-hmm.
expand and grow bigger. Because I think at the end of the
Right.
day, what I refer to and what you refer to is, you have to make sure you're always counting your dollars and cents. And anytime someone
Mm-hmm.
invests in the brand, they believe in your vision and they believe in making it, the global brand that it deserves to be. And at the end of the day, it's like, making everyone feel like they belong, I think is the best tagline we can represent together.
Yeah.
I always bring a question to everyone that I have on the podcast is I have this see it, be it moment. So for all those little girls that are looking at you and saying, she's beautiful, I want to look like her, how do I become her? What would you say to your 18-year-old self that, you were coming here for college, you were an immigrant, you didn't possibly know what the next 4 years of college would look like for you. But what would you say
Yeah.
to yourself back then that you're like, you have all this amazing lessons now that you've achieved. What stands out that you would say to your younger self and say, I did what? Or what would that lesson be?
There are a couple of things I want to mention is what had helped shape me at that time. And I will say one thing, Kathy, which is very strange. I know a lot of people don't say that. I don't want my 18-year-old self to change anything about her. Because today, the woman I am a product of my journey and the mistakes I made and the experiences I had, because I if had I not experienced those things, I wouldn't have been where I am today. Now, giving you an idea of that, when I graduated college, my first job was in automotive. And I still remember someone told me about the job position. Samreen knew nothing about automotive. Zilch, like nothing. And I was like, well, I want to go interview because Samreen at that time had the confidence, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And that is something I carry with me forever. And I remember I walked in and I thought I was completely fooling them because I knew nothing about it. And even when they gave me the position, I still remember that I was like, I don't know. I don't know why they did that. Like, because I just feel you always have that in you, like
Yeah.
the self doubt, but I would never allow anyone to see my self doubt.
Yeah.
So, in all frankness, I wouldn't change anything about the submarine back then because she just knew she'll figure it out.
I love it. And I think there's so many of us who look back and they're like, well, if I just told myself this, right? And the answer is you can't go back in time, but what you can do is change the future for the little girls that are looking at you now, and saying, she got this, and so do I.
Yeah.
Yes, we are a product of all of our decisions, good and bad. And
Good bad.
those decisions help you stand on your perch today and say, I am who I am because of them. And I
Absolutely.
love that message. And I love that, that 18-year-old Samreen that is, as confident as she is, probably a lot more now. um,
Love it.
but
I
because,
always say a lot more mature, a lot
and
more mature,
mature.
for sure.
um, but it's this, grit that you bring to your brand that, allows everyone to feed off of you and say, look, she's this beautiful woman. Why can't I also be the same woman that she's made herself into? And also,
Mhm.
grow the brand alongside of you by just, word of mouth and word of, spreading the social media tags, right? So it's like, okay, let's do it. Let's make this world better with Samreen's Vanity. The last question I will have for you is one that I think, if someone just listened to this last question, I think they would be like, okay, I got this. Obviously, you have a great vision for 10 years from now. But if you were to set a goal for yourself in the near term, and the near term can be whatever near term vision you have, what would Samreen's Vanity be in the nearest term? Like, what's the best answer that we could help you achieve in the near term?
So when I started Samreen's Vanity, it was a Instagram handle that I had. I was an influencer. I took my money and it was a very trial thing. Like, let me see what happens. I made like few eyeliners, which landed me a QVC, and from there is where my journey started. I gained more confidence, and the lipsticks happened, which are a hero product. So now I feel where I'm pivoting, my vision has evolved, my experiences have grown. And now I feel that I am evolving Samreen's Vanity into another brand that we are right now fundraising for. We're raising capital for it at the moment because I have believed I've taken all my learnings, all of my creativity that's shine. I'm taking into this new evolution of Samreen's Vanity that is ready for the global platform.
Okay.
And I feel that my vision and my story, I think it's story is very important. Where you come from and what your vision is. Today when I look out, there are like 20 skincare brands
Yeah.
scientifically founded, blah blah, and I feel there are just so many of them. But yes, when a woman like myself walks into a boardroom asking for funding, those things are hard to do.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you're just set up. There's so much set up against you that, you can't be bothered about that. You just have to keep fighting the fight until you get your outcome. So I believe right now my goal is to take my product, the evolution of Sarmeen's Vanity, that we're looking to launch next year, on the global frame where people can see my story and believe that if she did it, I can do it too.
I love it. So we're going global
Yeah.
very quickly. That's the goal.
We're going global.
That's
That's a goal.
awesome. So I say this metaphor in my entire corporate career, and I think it sticks because it's very easy to follow. And I always say, as a company, who are you? Are you the bicycle, the Toyota, or the Ferrari? And
Mm-hmm.
it's always, I loved the Ferrari because it's something like I remember seeing as a child and being like, wow, that's like the dream car in my world. So, whatever it is that your dream car is, it's like that's
Yeah.
the aspiration, right? Because when you hear that engine and you hear that roar, it's like, you're looking at something that's luxurious and expensive, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like the top of the mountain. So I think it
Mm-hmm.
solidifies kind of like the same thing for your brand. It's like you're at a stage now where you're dominating, but you're not global just yet. So with that
Mm-hmm.
2.1 billion supporters behind you, we're making it global. And we're going to help you fundraise so that you can be that top of the mountain Ferrari in your industry. And I think it's going to be the best step forward ever because one, we're going to go viral. Two, we're going to make sure that, the brand is on every shelf in the major stores that you're dreaming about. But also, it's revolutionizing the beauty industry for more, not just individuality, but also
Mm-hmm.
belonging, right? We're going back to that sense of like, I
Yeah.
want to feel like I belong and that, hey, maybe I can't afford the $5,000 handbag, but I'm going to make
Mm-hmm.
myself feel just as sexy and just as luxurious with
Yeah.
the lip liner and the lipstick.
And I call that the attainable luxury. I always
Yes.
say this. I was like, I don't want to be a Tom Ford where my people just think about something that they want to attain. This
Yeah.
is luxury. I think all of us deserve a level of luxury.
Yeah.
Whatever is attainable to us, what's attainable to you may not be attainable to me. But my goal with my products is one biggest thing is functionality. Kathy, that I think I bring from my automotive career. I mean, I wasn't selling cars. I was actually in the part of plastic molding interior manufacturing of a car. So I have a lot of that kind of technical knowledge that I carry. And for me, functionality is important. I'm not looking to make like viral products.
Yeah.
Virality is very short lived. So when you look at my dual ended lipsticks that are sitting in front of you, it was a very well thought of product. Like it was like, I'm making this for the busy woman. Like I
Yes.
am the busy woman of today. You can be a mom, you could be an entrepreneur, you could be an advocate, you could be
For
whatever
sure.
you whatever it is. So that is why I made this product, which has two different products, two different formulations, two different colors in one. So I think that is pretty much the goal behind it.
No, and I think it's something that, for the simplicity of, I don't want 10 products in my handbag, right? I want one. And
Yeah.
the ease of travel, whether I'm running to the grocery store or I'm going out for a night out, I don't want to hear clunking in my bag. I want to have one product that works and works well because I've been wearing this all day and it's still on me. And for those of you wondering, I think I put it on like at 8 in the morning, and now it's six after 6, so it stays. And also, the functionality of a brand that has a line of products that not just work, but also the ingredients speak for themselves. Not
Mm-hmm.
to call out the recent posting of Louis Vuitton going viral with makeup now. And I could tell
Yes.
you from someone that I know who works there, it's like, good luck drinking a cup of coffee. It's going to come off. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm sure that people will quickly notice that they're paying for the packaging and not for the actual, luxury of wearing whatever it is that's in that lipstick. And we've seen that all through many brands, right? It's like you pay so much for the hardware, but what actually is
Yeah.
inside and goes on your face is lacking in
Mm-hmm.
the product line that they're selling. So not to name everyone out there, but there's many of them like that. And you are
Right.
quite the opposite, where your product and your packaging speaks for itself, and also the 2.1 billion followers that we're going to open up and make sure that they buy will speak for themselves. So on that note, Samreen, thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited for what's new and what's to come in the next year for you, but also that vision that you so believe in and represent. I think is I'm just happy to be a part of your journey and someone who knows you now and sees that you're going to have that grit to make everything happen for you and for the brand. And I'm so excited to try out all the products that are going to be out there.
Yes.
um,
I mean, we're innovating some incredible stuff right now, so
Oh,
I'm excited
I
to
look
share.
forward to it. I look forward, and I also look forward for everyone to, comment and say, yes, bring it on, and let's get this funding that you need so that we can make those leaps and bounds. So on that note, if you're
Oh,
interested, we're going to make sure we're posting for Samreen's contact. So if you have a few billion or a few million to spare, you'll know how to contact her. So on that note, Samreen, thank you so much for joining the Top Lessons podcast with me. I am so excited for any follow-up that we'll get, and I look forward to having you back in the new journey of what's to come next year. So on that
thank you
note,
so much for
thank
having me,
you.
Kathy.
I love it. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bye.